Jamerica Phillips is the daughter of Califia and Rohan Phillips of Martinsville. She started Carlisle in sixth grade. Her little sister, Aaliyah Hagwood, is in the third grade. Jamerica is on the basketball team and is also involved in dancing. Relaxing at home, she enjoys watching Netflix and listening to music. She plans a career in nursing. Jamerica has researched the complicated world of social media and argues that some government regulations is definitely called for. Destiny Johnson is the daughter of Anisha Johnson of Spencer. She began her Carlisle education in kindergarten. Destiny has an older brother, Isaiah Stokely. Destiny is active in many activities and creative endeavors. She sings, draws, writes, and plays the ukulele. She is a representative in the SCA. She is an active member of the National Society of Black Engineers, serving as co-chair of the Academic Pyramid of Excellence Committee. Destiny has organized and led several community service projects for Henry County Food Pantry. She enjoys watching anime and hopes to attend Princeton University. For the forum, she has looked into the questions of whether the power of internet merits regulation by the federal government. She will tell us why she thinks it is better left alone. I welcome Jamerica Phillips to the podium.
More than 92% of Americans have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram on their phones, and more than 79% use social media every day. Since the creation of social media more than 15 years ago, experts have warned that regulations were needed to ensure irresponsible social media users do not abuse the internet. Social media's popularity has exploded in recent years. Moderators have developed potential regulations they feel will work. Social media is a popular form of electronic communication through users creating online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content. The most popular social media is Facebook, with more than 2.7 billion users globally. Facebook allows users to share posts and pictures with family and friends, as well as business and news. Twitter is a social media app that allows users to tweet short bits of information about anything, such as news and businesses. Also allows users to post pictures. They currently have more than 330 million users. TikTok, an app that is geared toward a younger audience, allows users to post 15 to 60-second videos to share only friends or publicly. More than 1 billion users currently use TikTok. Instagram, an app with more than 1 billion users as well, focuses on picture sharing. Snapchat, with 238 million users, allows users to post videos and pictures. Billions of people use social media for businesses, entertainment, and communication, especially with celebrities, to get to their music online, movies, and TV shows. Regulations are rules or directives made and maintained by an authority. People use social media technologies but must stay within the laws and standards that the government sets. Societies have to regulate human behavior and human social interaction, while some people argue social media regulations infringe on one's rights. There must be socially acceptable parameters when using these platforms. Twitter banned former President Donald Trump for 12 hours because of the things he was posting. His supporters stormed the Capitol on January 6th. President Trump violated many Twitter and Facebook rules, and both social media sites decided to ban him temporarily because of what he was posting. If the content that the person posts is beyond the guidelines, the social media site will take away their account for a temporary time. The First Amendment states that the Congress makes no laws respecting free speech or freedom of the press. Any law trying to regulate what people post to social media would be deemed unconstitutional because it would violate the First Amendment. Mrs. Paula Warner, a former middle school technology teacher, has been teaching for 12 years. According to her, most of the rules in place have more to do with children's access to the sites than restrictions on speech. They're trying to prevent their exposure to inappropriate content and contact from strangers. She said, "I feel like those rules are not enforced properly and that social media platforms do very little to prevent children from accessing their sites and using their services. The user agreements and terms and conditions are designed to legally protect the social media company, not the users, other than enforcement of existing U.S. laws that penalize users for illegal content and a few expectations to free speech. There is little that the U.S. government has done. The U.S. has no hate speech laws. Other countries have much stricter laws regarding speech. Social media user agreements, terms and conditions protect the company from liability. There is an inherent conflict between the First Amendment and regulating online speech. There could be laws prohibiting false information, requiring social media platforms to flag or put notices on false or harmful claims. Social media companies are global. 80% of Facebook users are not from the United States. Most of the users are not subject to U.S. law. Companies are looking at their rules and making adjustments. They are banning problem accounts and improving their algorithms to flag problem content and adding disclaimers and noticing about inaccurate information. But computer programs that companies use to look at the content can only do so much. Regulations are laws that apply to how the companies use the information they gather could be helpful. Social media companies have vast amounts of information about their users, and most people are unaware of how much and what kind of information they collect and sell. Individual companies can regulate the speech on their platforms however they wish. Mrs. Warner said, "I would like to see better enforcement on the Children Online Privacy Protection Act. There are no specific laws regarding social media in the U.S. Social media companies are not designed to protect their users. They exist to make money, not protect the public. The controls are now getting a little stricter on certain apps like TikTok. Currently, the power to monitor and filter user content resides with social media companies. They have determined their own restrictions. But platforms do need permission to add or take away rules that discriminate and need a license to have their app. The government should not regulate content, but they can pressure platform owners for confirmation of the regulations it feels are necessary to protect the public."
Um, so did you run across anything in your research about if the government did decide to regulate, what some of the, consequences would be for people breaking laws?
No, not really, but I feel like some certain people would be mad or upset about regulating or getting stricter rules because some people feel like they can post whatever they want or they should be able to post whatever they want.
I have a similar question, but so the internet is a huge part of our lives, especially younger generation. And I would imagine if the rights within the internet will be placed in the law, I would imagine a lot of people disagreeing and possibly even going protesting. So my question is, do you think is it worth it? Will it make this huge difference that would worth people disagreeing and protesting and being upset about it?
Being upset, I can understand, but protesting, I don't think it should go that far because it's the owner's app, like site. So I feel like if the owner of that site decides to get stricter rules or decides to take things away or add, then they shouldn't go protesting about it.
Thank you.
I now welcome Destiny Johnson to the podium.
Social media has increasingly become a normal part of life, and this means that it can have a lot of power over our lives. A 2018 Pew Research study reported that about 66% of the population gets their news from social media. This means that approximately 3 billion people get their news from Facebook, and 1.4 billion people get their news from YouTube. This makes social media extremely important. Regulating would suppress free speech, which is protected in the First Amendment. Regulating might mean the restricting of political speech, which would hurt our elections and democracy. Regulations would force users to use illegal methods to post online, thus creating a whole group of lawbreakers. It is clear that social media should not be regulated. Social media is a bundle of websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. There are hundreds of websites and platforms that many people use in their daily life. Government regulation is a law that controls the way a business can operate. Social media regulation means that the government chooses what gets to stay up on the internet and what gets taken down. Even before the beginning of the internet, social media regulation has been a widely debated topic. An example of media regulation is the Radio Act of 1927. The Radio Act of 1927 increased the federal government's regulatory powers over radio communication. The Radio Act would affect any medium of communications, but today, media regulation would most likely be much different from things such as the Radio Act. There are also modern laws set in place for social media, and one of the most popular laws is called the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. In 1998, the FTC surveyed 212 websites and found that 89% collected information and data from children. 46% of these websites did not divulge this information or tell the use of the information, which is illegal without consent. COPPA is the first privacy law written for the internet. It requires that the website must reveal who is collecting the information and what is being done with that collected info from children. In history, free speech has been one of the most protected rights in the Constitution. This is why social media regulation has been unwanted by many social media users. People who are against government regulation of social media most likely have the common belief that it would be rendered useless if our free speech was taken from it. They are right to think this way, considering that giving the government the power to take down your opinion is a violation of your right to free speech. On the contrary, people may say that hindering the right to take down something that they politically disagree with would be infringing on their rights. The government is supposed to be protecting our rights, and whether they disagree with something or not, they shouldn't have the power to take those rights away. Disregarding any information on the regulation of social media by the government, social media regulation by the government is constitutionally wrong. The First Amendment is one of the most important amendments in the Constitution. The First Amendment says, "Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, and have the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances." In other words, the government cannot prevent freedom of speech. If the government is able to take control of what is taken down speech-wise, it will immediately violate the First Amendment. If the government got involved with the regulation of social media, this would then violate the First Amendment because it is not regulated by a private company anymore. Despite the reasons that people do not want government regulation, there are still reasons why people may want government regulation of social media. Public interest refers to the welfare or well-being of the general public, and is a common reason for advocating for the regulation of social media. Things that may fit into this category include crimes like hate crimes, racism, sexism, bigotry, sex trafficking, and child pornography. But the problem with this argument is that many, if not all of these things, are already supposed to be regulated by the social media company itself. Another reason that people might be for the regulation of social media by the government is to stop political swaying. Political swaying refers to political advertising with the intent to manipulate the election results. In 2016, Russians used social media to target political ads towards Americans in an attempt to sway the political results. Many say that they succeeded in this and successfully changed the results. Government regulation most likely would not help, but rather cause more conflict because of the difference between governments. On January 6, 2021, An insurrection was led at the Capitol in an attempt to sway political results. People thought that they could stop President Joe Biden from being certified as president at the time, resulting in former President Trump staying in the White House. This event was talked about on social media before 2021 even started. People say that government regulation would have helped to stop this event before it happened. The problem with this is that there is no possible way that the government did not know about what former President Trump was saying, and they didn't attempt to do anything about it either. There are reasons for government regulation of social media, but most can be ruled out quickly with other reasons. Recent events have caused us to rethink social media regulation as a whole. Whatever happens, everyone should continue to keep social media a place for everyone, where everyone can speak freely without fear of being silenced, because the freedom to speak freely is a right that everyone deserves.
Thank you. So, do you think that we are getting closer and closer to possibly having social media and things like that actually regulated by the government?
Yes, former President Trump actually wanted to create some regulations for social media, but I don't think that the government went through with that. The insurrection at the Capitol has really opened our eyes up to that, so I think that social media companies are going to start trying to regulate it more.
Thank you.
Good job in your research. I had a question about, so if any regulations will not be placed on the internet, how can we protect people from getting false information? And does it even need protection? Well, what do you think about that?
I think that social media companies themselves can take care of taking down false information, but I don't think that the government should get involved with taking that down, because when the government starts to get involved with these things, I feel like they start taking down things that they don't need to take down.